Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jan Portman with the Relationship Matters TV show. I'm so happy to be with you. I haven't seen you in about 3 weeks? I've been doing encore and encore episodes, and why I was on a combination, I guess, business and vacation journey. I went to Africa. I was in Senegal and Ghana. A life changing experience. And what I'm thinking about doing is having a special. I'm supposed to do a 90-minute special every 3 months. And I think I'm going to do a special because I have so many pictures and so many videos that I really want to show you. Then I came home, and after being gone 10 days, and I'll say eating my way through Africa because the food was so good. But anyway, uh, then I had a conference that I had to go to 3 days later. So I was still jet lagged in LA, in beautiful Beverly Hills. And of course, I had to shop a little bit, but not much. But anyway, so that's where I have been, just in case you were wondering where I had been. But I am very, very, very happy to see you today. I'm very happy to be back here. Now, let's see. Oh, hello. Hi, Margaret Lance. Hello. Greetings from Scotland. Hi, Margaret. It's so wonderful that you're here. I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning there, and I am happy to see you. And yes, I did have a great time. So, enough about me. I have a guest on this evening that piqued my interest. Very interesting man. And what I'm going to do is tell you just a little bit about him before he comes on. His name is Juan Lee. And Juan is a veteran, first of all. He's an author, and he's the founder of Clear Journey, which is a nonprofit that teaches financial education and successful attitudes to teens. No, that's hard. Young adults, veterans, and their families. And we're going to talk all about that and all about relationships. But there's a quote that he said that I really love. And that is, success is in the journey, not the destination or outcome. I love that. I love it. So I'm going to bring on, without any further ado, as they say, to Juan Lee. Hi, Juan.
Hello, how are you, doctor? How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm just great. I'm happy and thankful to be here on the show with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest. And before we go into anything, I know you are a veteran, and I know people always say, thank you for your service. But really, thank you for your service. And before we get into relationships and the theme of the show, I just want people to know that, number one, you were in the Air Force, and just give me just a little snippet of what you did and how being in the Air Force has affected your life and where you are today.
Well, I can start with the latter part first. It's
Okay.
made everything, it's meant everything to where I am today. It was the beginning and the end of me becoming who I am when I went into the military. If you know my story, um, I had no identity until I got into the Air Force. And so that was the beginning of my journey that I am currently living right now. I mean, it is so much. I was in logistics. I was in transportation. I basically we moved troops and cargo and materials all around the world. And like I was telling you, we typically were the first ones in and the last ones out. So we were the ones that was actually making sure that everybody got there and everybody got home. So that was what we did. What I did while I was in the Air Force. I was in there for 9 years.
Wow. When you said, that actually you didn't know who you were, so what does that mean?
Well, the story goes, we're going to get right to it. The story goes, I had an undiagnosed learning disability until I was 37 years old. And so my academic experience was extremely frustrating. I graduated from high school feeling lost, not having any directions, not knowing how I was going to survive in life. And I got into the Air Force. How I got in, only a grace of God, and the only way. Got in and spent the next 9 years building me into who I am. I mean, it's literally building into me the mindset of what I talk about when I say the mindset of love. It is understanding how the mind works and how um, we understand what it means to really love, what it really means to love. So I know people don't really understand that if just in hearing it when they put military and love together, but it's because of my experience that I was able to connect some very unusual things together. Because you think of violence and tearing up stuff in the military and violence and stuff like that, but I really bring it from a perspective of love and sacrifice, you know, and it's about what are you willing to do for that which you love. And that's what our call is as veterans, as people in the military, is to sacrifice for those, for something greater than ourselves. And that's what love is all about.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I'm just gonna go back to something you said. It was an undiagnosed learning disability. Was it dyslexia?
No, I have see. Then the thing about it is, I was aware of dyslexia,
Okay.
but I don't have that. I mean, but that was something that was commonly understood. I have a memory deficiency,
Oh, short term
um,
or long term?
short term,
Oh, I'm
short.
asking these questions because I was a special education teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
and
yeah.
and they pushed me through the system. I was in special education.
Ah,
They pushed me through the system. And that's where graduation day, I looked out and I saw nobody's going to push me through anything. And now where do I go? What do I do? How do I survive when somebody's had these mittens on me, and now all of a sudden life is going to be real.
wow.
And so the military showed me a way to really understand my value, my purpose, how much being a part of something bigger than you are makes everybody better.
Wow. That's you know what? You're not a child, but it's almost like you're a poster child for for kids who have learning disabilities. Because as I said, I taught special ed, and most of my students in elementary school and high school had different kinds of learning disabilities, and a lot of them felt that, for some reason, like they people would say, oh, you can't read, but it's all different ways of learning. And that's something I really really admire you for that. So I'm going to segue into your nonprofit clear journey. Tell us about that. What exactly is that?
Well, that basically is the vision that I had that is comes out of the book I wrote called Love Made Simple, the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And it's the foundation. It's really the idea of making love practical, making love practical. We hear about it as being something, a feeling, as an emotion, but we really rarely see love put into action so that we can identify it and associate it with what it is, and that's the love. See, that's the connection to the military. I was able to see love in action while I was experiencing that had going through that military experience, because I was around a group of people that saw something that was greater than themselves and they were willing to sacrifice for it. And so when you understand that, then you begin to have value and you can see it. And what we do at Clear Journey is that we allow you to have the right mindset so that when you're exposed to the various things in life that are really that you require to understand and to know, that you'll bring that information in with the right mindset so that you can maximize and you can reach your full potential. You know, it's sort of like being prepared for life's challenges before they come. And that's where we begin to navigate life more successfully with the right mindset.
Okay. Because I think most people think that love is complicated. But when you're saying love made simple. So with teenagers, how do you get them to see that? And I know you touch on finances and all that, but with your teens, how do you change their attitudes? What does it take?
Well, to be honest with you, it takes a lot of consistency. It's consistency. It's because children are molded,
Yeah.
and you need to be able to be consistent. So the things that we share with them is more than anything else is consistency. And then when you're showing it, you're demonstrating that which we confess, what we're basically talking about is we're showing them love and compassion, and we're showing it to them in all the areas that are important. Then they begin to see value in what we're showing them, because love is just a tool. It's an avenue. And boy, we'll get into it. But one of the things that love is a conduit. And
Okay.
what it allows us to do is to connect to one another so that we can give of ourselves to one another. Without that conduit, it's kind of difficult to be able to connect, to be able to share that information that they need. They first need to feel that connection. And so that's the first part. And it doesn't really matter what a stage of life you're in, whether you're a teenager, young adult, or a senior, we've got to be able to connect. And when you connect, it allows for what you want to give. It allows your motivation now to flow. Whereas that without it, you might want to give or share, but you don't have the connection. And then there's resistance. So you've got to have the connection first.
Okay. So just someone Margaret says, hello, Juan.
Hello, Margaret.
And then she says, oh, well, I have to put this in here. Thank you, Matoya. uh, I'm very happy to be back. And then Margaret says, hi, everyone. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am so happy, happy, happy that you're here. If you got a question or comment, be sure and put it in the chat. So now you talk about resistance. So, what resistance do you see? Now, did you see it in the service also?
Well, no. Resistance just comes in actually demonstrating when you want to demonstrate. A lot of times we're on relationships. A lot of times in relationships, we have resistance within the relationship because the connection was not previously established in what I refer to as the love connection. Okay.
Okay.
And so when that connection being there, the things that you want to do or the things that that you are made up of don't flow. They won't flow through to the other person. And so there's an automatic resistance because there's no conduit there that will receive that which you've been willing to give. And the conduit is very um we both understand that conduit. Everybody in it understands the conduit. So it's like I'm free to receive from you, and so you're free to receive from me. And as a result, now my desires, my wants, my needs are easily met through that conduit, through that connection, which makes it so easier for us to relate to one another at that point. When we relate to one another through love instead of relating to one another through my experiences, and many times we relate to each other through our experiences,
Yes.
and that doesn't necessarily connect because my experiences aren't your experiences.
Yeah.
But when we have that connection of love and go, that means that irrespective of whatever your experiences are, I can be touched with them. I relate to them. I can understand. I'm going to yield to your experiences because they're your experiences. And now, how can I assist you? How can I add value to your circumstances instead of trying to question them? I'm going to add value so that you can be more successful, that we collectively together can be successful.
So the hard part to me, listening to you, is the conduit. You know what I'm saying? It because in so many people, and especially young people, a lot of young people today, that conduit that you're talking about is missing. You know what I mean?
Well, I tell you one of the biggest things that people really get set back by me when I say to the young people, I said, we failed you. See, that's right there, an opening right there off the bat. They'd be like, huh? Yeah, we failed you. Because see, we gave you the benefits, but didn't show you the how. We
Ah,
gave you the benefits and didn't show you the how. And then now you're feeling this sense of that you deserve something.
yes.
You deserve something. And that's and so many ways, we were fortunate enough to give that to you, but we didn't teach you the lessons that came with it. And so we automatically disarm the younger people when we say, hey, we failed. Now what can we do to adjust that circumstance, that situation, so that we can add value to you and show and help you navigate. um you know there's so much value that young people bring to older people, and we have to understand that also. And when we're not doing it, because see, this is a relationship. Young people, we're in this thing together, whether we're seniors, young adults, adults, teenagers, we're in this thing together. That means that we have value that we can add to one another. In my book, I break each chapter down into 4 categories, and they're broken down into teens, young adults, and seniors. And it's so that you might be fulfilled in each one of those stages of life based on the chapter in which you would read that you just read. So it breaks down each chapter so that you can be fulfilled no matter what stage of life you're in that information that's shared.
Well, Juan, if
Mhm.
I'm a senior citizen and let's say I'm full of hate, oh, I'm still with that conduit. So I've gone through the teenage years, young adult, midlife, whatever. And here I am. I'm a bitter old woman. I'm just saying, no, I'm not, but I'm
Okay.
just,
Okay.
no, I'm just saying, how do you get them there? Really? I really,
Again, see, this is what I'm saying. See, love gives you the access to understand what that is. Like I was telling you with the young people, I disarm them from that feelings that they can't listen to me or can't hear from me by telling them up front, I failed them. I failed you, but I want to help. I want to add value to your life, and I need you to open up to receive it. See, if until you open up, there's nothing I can do for it. If you keep holding against me what it is that I did that I didn't do, then I can't be able to help. I can't change what you already experienced. See, and that's the same thing to this bitter old woman. It's like, okay, how do I reach you? It's like I have to be where you are. I have to be touched with what it is you're feeling. So that means that I have to enter into your space and say, okay, I can feel what you're feeling.
Okay.
Because I've got to connect with you. See, until I connect with you, you're not going to listen. You're not going to hear that love can change whatever your circumstances is. But it takes you willing to want to accept the fact that love has actions that go along with it. That
Okay.
it has actions. And these are the things that we share with people, is the ability to change something that is abstract into something that's practical, something that they can touch, they can feel, they can hold on to, because they are who's going to operate. They're going to manifest it.
Okay.
They manifest it. And when they manifest it, guess what happens? Their life changes.
Mm.
Their life changes, because guess what? Love does this thing to you. Love will change your perspective no matter what the situation is. It
Mm.
doesn't matter. If love is in it, your perspective is going to change. If you're feeling bitter, bring love into it. It will change, because
Okay.
you can't have love and bitterness in the same place.
That's very true. Yeah, you
You
are
can't
right.
have it in the same place.
That's true. That's true. Well, a question came in. Um, have you ever, and this is going back to what you said earlier, have you ever thought about teaching special education children because of your experience? What a great connection that would be.
No, I have spoken on that occasionally, but the thing about it is that I've spoken to professionals like yourself,
Okay.
that have basically said that things have not changed in the academic arena, in the sense of what special education does, moving people through the system. They really have to change the model as it relates to, um, pushing through the people through the system. See, the education is not based on comparisons. It's about being able to find out what I can do.
Yeah.
But what special education does is it separates them and says, okay, you're not going to be required to do what everybody else does, and we're going to let you think that you're going to be on par with them, but you're not. We're not going to hold you back, but we're not going to find out what makes you unique. And
Mm.
see, what happens in most regular classes is that the child is able to, through the curriculum, find that thing that they can be, define themselves as unique. That's what it's
Okay.
all about, whether it's in the regular academic environment or in the special education. It's about finding that thing that makes you unique. But that's not what they're teaching. they're
Okay.
teaching they're teaching standards. They're
Okay.
teaching standards. And so it's not about necessarily the special education. It's just, we've got to be wanting to help students become their very best self. And that's not a standard. That takes effort, and it takes an intentionality. And they don't want to do that because that takes time and money. And then that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And Shirley Brown says exactly. She agrees with you. So I'm going to get on something else. You talk a lot about commitment, and that's something that you learned while you were in the military, or did you have that beforehand?
Well, again, a lot of the things that I gained comes from the military, because you can't have sacrifice without commitment.
Okay.
Okay, you can't say I'm willing to sacrifice, if I'm not committed to that which I'm willing to sacrifice for.
Okay.
What typically happens is that you, if you're not committed, you won't sacrifice.
Okay.
And so when you're asked to sacrifice, the commitment has to precede the sacrifice.
Okay.
That sets the tone for whatever you're going to be willing to sacrifice for. If you're not committed to it, you're not going to sacrifice. And so, as it relates to sacrifice, it leads the way. But where does that come from? It comes from your motivation. And
Oh,
again, it goes back to my motivation was just like everybody else's in the military, is to protect home.
okay.
That's what the motivation is. Now, granted, we all got our own private agendas in there, but the fact of the matter is the mission of the military is to protect the homeland from foreign or domestic. So then that's the motivation behind the commitment that requires the sacrifice.
Okay. All righty. So in relationships,
It's the
especially,
same.
yeah, I was gonna say, especially personal relationships, you have to be motivated. Let's say I want this to be a positive relationship. This is the motivation,
Mm-hmm.
and like people getting married, the motivation is to have a long-lasting, happy marriage. Now, so now there's this commitment
Mm-hmm.
that, of course, we all say with the vows.
Mm-hmm.
Later on comes the sacrifice,
Or not.
or not, or not. So when you don't see the sacrifice, then it's usually. I'm just asking you: is it because the real motivation wasn't there, or the commitment really wasn't there?
Nine time out of ten, it was the commitment.
Okay,
Because the motivation, nobody wants an unsuccessful marriage.
true.
Nobody comes in and says, you know what, I'm going to do this thing and I hope it just burns and it just burn, just destroys me. No,
Right,
nobody wants that. But
right.
but what it takes to get it starts with the commitment, because the commitment says I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that motivation is fulfilled. And that is where you're willing to grow. You're willing to change, because you're not going to remain the same. If the relationship is going to evolve and to be long lasting, everybody's going to have to grow. Everybody's going to have to grow. It takes commitments on both sides to want to grow.
Okay.
And until to say that you can do it on one side or the other, but the fact is that eventually growth is going to occur if it's going to be sustained. Because if I
Okay.
don't want to grow, I don't want to grow, you can't make me grow. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the understanding with the motivation comes into. You get married because you want to be married, but you don't want to be a husband.
Ah, we're
that
gonna.
that's in
Yeah,
the cup.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that. And when we talk about sacrifice, I have to put this out there. I want to thank my husband for being right here with me during football.
Thursday night football,
Thursday night,
Buffalo versus Miami. Don't think I'm not aware of it.
because football it's like he had a joke, because when he had to pick me up from the airport, it was a game on. He said, it's a choice between picking myself up at the airport or watching the game. I said, well, thank you for making that choice and making that sacrifice. So
Hey,
I,
and they happen just that simple. They're just that quick. They're ongoing, and you've got to be willing to make those. And the thing about it is, over time, it becomes easier. Becomes easier, but the value is in what you had, what your motivation is. Hey,
happy wife, happy life. That's the motivation. Okay. So, okay. So here's another question that came in. What if we could get the general population into the same mindset? as does the military has as it relates to commitment?
Well, that's a part of the reason why I'm doing what this is, because a lot of people think that the military um, is lacking what we need for success in life. But I've differ in that opinion. I think the value that the military veterans and bring out of the military is a success mindset that that is second to none, absolutely second to none. Because we've gotten some put into it. See, the thing about the military is that you, if you don't adapt, you won't stay.
Mm,
If you don't adapt, you won't stay. And if you stay, you're going to adapt. It's in it. You can't do it any other way, because promotions are built on adapting. If you don't adapt, you're not going to get promoted. If you don't get promoted, they ain't going to keep you in. Okay. So it's not as though it's just this free fall. Everybody is getting in, you stay in. No. You've got to adapt. And that's the thing that we have to deal with as civilians. And it was very clear with me. I think it was a couple of years ago, last year maybe, when it came to Independence Day,
mm,
and how many people that have never been in the military don't understand what it means to be a patriot, what it means to be an American, what it means to put nation above personal agenda. We struggle in that as a nation. Now we have a select few that join the military, but as it relates to the majority of Americans don't join the military. They don't have that allegiance, and for whatever reason, they lose the value of understanding the umbrella of safety that the military provides.
okay.
And so, it's understanding and having appreciation for the freedom and the liberties that we have here. And until you experience something else, and many Americans will never experience overseas, they won't experience something outside of the borders of the United States. And for that reason, don't know how precious this situation is. As bad as it is, it's a whole lot of places that are worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot of places that are worse. And until you've been there and understand it and seen it for yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
really have a skewed mindset as it relates to really appreciating this thing called America.
I agree with you. You can go to a foreign country, and if you get past the touristy stuff and you start seeing, like, oh, you know what? Can't wait to get back home.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
where the touristy stuff and the little glamour and the this and that and the other, and you're like, oh wow, this is really great. Then you get a chance to kind of see where the regular folks, I should say, that don't have money or whatever live. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, not. And Maxine says, amen to that. So I have to take a quick commercial. And as I told you earlier, I saw you on this podcast. and I thought, oh, okay. And it was about, what was it about? A sexy life or something like that after
The
menopause.
sexy side of menopause.
Yes, the sexy side of menopause. So I want to take a quick commercial and come back on that, because um, a lot of my viewers are midlife women. So they're either going through it, getting ready to go through it, or been through it and never want to go through that again. And so we're going to come right back. And I just want you to touch on that just well, really for the rest of the episode, because I'm interested.
Okay, no.
Okay, so don't go anywhere, ladies and men, because we're going to talk about the sexy side of menopause. All right, be right back. As many of you know, I am an adult daughter aging mother relationship coach. And if you feel that you would like some information or some coaching or just have a conversation about how to navigate the challenges in the adult daughter aging mother relationship, you can reach me at jan4now125 at gmail.com. So I don't want to take any more time because I really want to get back to this. Okay, now the sexy side of menopause. Tell me all about where you're coming from when you talk about that.
Well, let's first be clear. I was invited onto a podcast,
Yes.
and she was looking for someone, a male's perspective
Okay.
on menopause. I don't have that issue as it relates to the sexy side of menopause in the in the sense of what most women think about. But I've been married for 28 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we are in that space.
Okay.
And so I was able to share with the audience from a male's perspective what it was like and what it is like and how to manage, how to navigate that. And to be honest with you, it really goes really back to what we were talking about earlier, because this is just a phase of the relationship. And in many cases, it's new to the woman just as it is to the man. And so there needs to be a way that men can be more engaged and involved in this experience. I know myself, I've been on many of the doctor's appointments. I've been on many of the opportunities for us to sit down and discuss it and talk about it. It's something that really requires you to be very open and honest, um, but really believe and understand that it's affects both of you one way or another. It's affecting both of you. It in many cases have torn relationships apart, in many cases, but at the same time it can also bring you together. And so that's a choice, because if your wife feels that she is getting the support from you in an area where she's struggling, she's being challenged in an area, and you have to be there to support that. And I'm not perfect in this thing because I was figuring it out as I was going through it and as she was going through it, and I wasn't always supportive. But in the process of understanding it, I realized that it required me to be supportive in something that she didn't even understand what was going on. And it was playing itself out in various ways, mood swings, attitudes, various feelings. And it was in many cases directed towards me in one way or another. And I had to be able to associate those things and disassociate them from and say, oh no, this is really something other than it's about me. It's not about me.
Right.
And so I had to learn that. And so, for women to understand that they're not in this thing there by themselves, and the impacts that they're going through is impacting their husbands.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's impacting them. Just in the fact that you don't feel good is impacting them.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's two sides to this thing. And I think is more, both sides are more aware of the impact. I think it can create a better experience, because, not many of us going to miss it. The longer you stay together and you're going to be in there, it's coming, so you got to be able to look forward to it and understand that, hey, it's going to be something that we got to work out together.
That goes back to what you said about motivation, commitment, and sacrifice. Because as a woman and had gone through it, it's I can understand, because sometimes we women we don't like ourselves during that time, and yes, you will strike out, and I think it's great. Now I know you were on that podcast, but that's something really that a lot of men. I'm giving you another job. That's something that a lot of men really need to know. Um, let's see. I think a comment came here. Uh, Sandy Barney Ennis said, "I believe that being human, we just don't understand the end of any cycle in life." Okay.
Well, she really, really didn't pushed on a button right there.
Okay.
You
What
really
button did she
she
push on?
Well, I mean, because that statement that she made right there, when she said human and she said cycle, we all have that human cycle called life that has in many cases something that we don't like to talk about, and that's the end of that cycle. And that's being able to understand that that cycle is inevitable, and that we have to embrace it. And very few people want to embrace something that's uncomfortable or that they're unprepared for. And that's what love has allowed me to do, is to open some doors and express some things in a way in which you're able to embrace it. Whereas as there was in the past, they've been, a little bit ambivalent and just avoidance of it until it hits you in the face. And
Mm.
again, Clear Journey is about trying to prepare you to navigate so that you can be your full and your very best self. So we desire to open up those doors that were, people keep closed. And so and one thing I do want to add to, as far as the menopause thing, is that a lot of doctors don't know a lot about it, and they're still trying to figure it out. And that makes it more difficult for women. I know we went to various types of doctors, many different types of doctors. One say that it's to do this, one say to do that, one say do this. And everybody has to know their body and to understand what works right for them. And so that in and of itself is very frustrating, and it's very um, and disheartening in some cases, because you're feeling like there's something wrong, but you just can't get over the hump to figure out what it is and what the actual right formula is for you.
Yeah.
So there's a degree of frustration there, and like I said, some doctors don't even teach on it. Don't even, they just throw what they heard. And things are changing. So be persistent in this journey And that's why it's important for the husband to be involved, because it's not going to be just a quick fix.
No, it's not. And Maxine says, "You are making sense, sir." Yes, definitely. Okay, so another text came in. Uh, it says, "You have used the word commitment several times. What is your definition of commitment and why is it important?"
You're going to like this one. This goes back to the military.
Okay.
And not that I ever did this, but I'm going to use it as an example. You have paratroopers, right?
Okay.
Paratroopers are people who jump out of planes with parachutes on their backs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a commitment is like what I'm talking about is a commitment is when you jump out of a plane at 30,000 feet, you're going down whether or not that parachute opens or not. That's
Yeah.
commitment.
Whoa. Yes. Oh my
And,
goodness.
and you jump out hoping that it opens. But if it doesn't, you're going down. Gravity has already made that determination. That's a commitment.
Wow. You know, you said I would love that. Yes. Yes. I do love that. I do love that.
That
Wow.
that means that you ain't turning around
Yeah.
and going back.
Like, ooh.
You ain't turning around going back. You ain't like, okay, but I want to try this over again. No, that plane gone and you out there on your own. But that's what commitment is.
And Maxine Walker says it's all about trust. What do you feel about that?
Well, trust is a different space,
Okay.
because the commitment it doesn't it's easier if you can trust, because like I'm saying, you trust your parachute to be there because you're not jumping out the plane without the parachute. Okay. But my point being is that most times, most likely the parachute is going to open because it's been packed right and everything is going to work. Most 99.9% of the time it's going to open. But on that point one time, it's not going to change the fact that you're going down.
Okay.
And the emphasis is that you're going down. You might
Okay.
not like the way you get there, but you're going down. And the commitment is the fact that you jump out the plane for the motivation, which was the better good. You were going to do something that had a better benefit, a bigger benefit. Now, if it doesn't open, it ain't gonna change the fact of my commitment. It ain't gonna change my commitment. And that's the mindset that we need to have. Circumstances can't change our commitment, but in so many instances, our circumstances change our commitment. And that's like menopause, various challenges that we interrupt in, that we come in contact with, changes our commitment. And it shouldn't, because the commitment precedes the challenge.
Okay. Yeah. The commitment, okay, precedes the challenge. And when you think about it, in marriages, you, you can have that commitment, but because the circumstances change, you know, then I think that's why you see a lot of, now this is just me, a lot of divorces because the
Mhm.
circumstances have changed.
Yeah, but see, but that means that you weren't committed, because the circumstances ain't got nothing to do with your commitment. See, this is what I'm saying. Eh, when you say for death, for better or for worse, the death do us part, that's everything that you don't know. That's
Right.
about everything that you don't know. You're committing to everything that you don't know. So circumstances changing is things that you didn't know. You committed to staying in when those things change.
Wow, you should be a marriage counselor.
That's what that is. I mean, but you've got to go into it. But we get caught up in the glitter and glamour of the moment or the event, and not staying in tune for what we said, because nothing that is you're going to be successful it's going to take sacrifice.
Right.
It's going to take sacrifice.
Right.
If you ain't sacrificed, it ain't worth going through, because it's not, you can get it and it didn't mean anything. It wasn't no work in it, you
Right.
know. But it's got to be, the commitment has to be precede the sacrifice. If you don't have the commitment, the sacrifice, it doesn't mean the same thing.
Right. Right. And that's in all relationships, not just the marital relationships. That's in professional relationships. That's in personal relationships. Since all kind of relationships in that,
Hmm.
if you want a successful, that's in anything really, when you think about it, even going into a business, or just any kind of challenge. Yeah.
You got to put the work in. There's no shortcuts. And here's the thing: a lot of the younger generations don't like to hear this, but there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in this experience, because you've got to put in the work. Because here's the thing: the work today is preparing you for the unknown of tomorrow.
True.
And if you're unprepared, if you don't work today, you're going to be unprepared for tomorrow.
True.
Because today is over, and what you use today, it might not be relevant tomorrow.
Thank you.
You got to keep growing. If you're breathing, you need to be growing.
You are exactly right. You are exactly right. So we only have like a few minutes now, audience. If you got a question, put it in the chat now. For people who were texting me, text me now. Don't wait until a minute before and have this burning question. So if you have a question, a comment that you want to put in, please say it. Please do it now. So, one, just in a couple of sentences, and we've touched on so many things, and you have really enlightened me, and just given me some food for thought. But what would you like to leave with my audience? What is something that's going to stick with them? What
Well,
would you like to leave?
I tell you that the thing that really helped me and got me through this was understanding that no matter where your situation starts, wherever you are in life, that you really have to come to a realization that you have value, and understand that you are important, you're necessary, and what you have is sufficient. And understand, when you begin to put that into practice, you begin to operate in your authentic self, because that's what this ultimate journey is about you being your authentic self. And to be able to understand and know that, hey, I have value, I am important, and I'm necessary. Now it's up to us to find that conduit, that connection, so that I can begin to demonstrate it. See, life is no different than a business. There's three parts to a business: you need a product, you need an audience, and you need a way of delivering it. Each and every one of us is an individual business looking for an audience so that we can deliver it to. That's who we are. That's what we got. But we've got to recognize that we have something that's important, and it is sufficient, and it's necessary. Somebody needs what you have. It's up to you to be able to generate, to give it, to present it to them, to deliver it to them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. One, um, so okay, so yeah, I got so involved. Let me go to where they can find here. Yes. If they want to get in contact with you, you can reach him. Now, for people who are audio only, you can reach him. His email. Well, no, you know what? His website is www.clearjourney.org. That's www.clearjourney.org. If you want to email him, it's info at clearjourney.org. And if you would like to reach him by phone, it's 202-669-6828. That's 202-669-6828. Now, his book, Love Made Simple. All right, take your phone out and scan. Take a phone out, take a picture, put it on camera, and scan that code to get his book. Now, Juan, is your
Mhm.
book also available on Amazon?
Oh, that's Amazon.
Oh, that is Amazon. Okay.
And it's also on Audible.
Okay. Oh, Audible too. So for the ones who are Audible only, um, go to Amazon and look for Love Made Simple.
Now on Audible it has a different cover. So just look for
Okay.
my name and you'll see it. But it's the
Okay.
same book, Audible.
Okay. Look for his name, Juan Lee. That's W-E. Lord,
Juan.
looking at it, I'm getting spell it wrong. That's Juan Lee, Lee. Juan, thank you so much.
You are
This
so
this
welcome.
this has really been an amazing show today. And quickly, what's happening on September 18th?
It's when you begin to get on the hot seat on my show.
And the name of your show is?
It's Life Live. We're gonna be next Wednesday night at 7, which will be 6 your time.
Huh?
But it's 7 Eastern Standard Time, where you'll be our guest on It's Life Live, where we're gonna be talking about relationships
All
again.
righty. Shameless plug, people. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Juan. I really appreciate you being the guest on my show. And I'm looking forward to being on your show.
I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, and we look forward to seeing you on next Wednesday night.
All right.
Everybody, look, bring your audience with you. Come on now. It's clearjourney.org, and we're streaming it all over social media: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and
Okay.
LinkedIn.
And I'll put it out there on my social media. And Margaret, guess what? That will only be midnight your time.
Yeah,
It won't be 1 a.m.
yeah, yeah. Come on, Margaret. Come on out.
All righty. Thank you so much, Juan.
Alrighty.
All righty. Wow, this has been great. A lot of information, a lot of education, and I just opened my eyes to some things. It really, really did. So, motivation, commitment, and sacrifice. You got to be motivated. You got to have that commitment. So I will see all of you actually next Wednesday. Be sure and tune into his show, watch his show. And then I will also be here next Thursday evening. So I want you all to have a beautifully blessed morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And remember, there are all kinds of relationships, there are all kinds of relationship matters, and life really is about relationships. See you again next week. Bye bye.